Good evening, Warriors! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are having a good evening. I wanted to do one before I finished up for the evening, but I always like to kind of get one in here and try to sneak one in when we can. All right, a quick shout-outs before we do that. And thank you guys for a lot of great comments, a lot of great topics to come. Dwayne Saunders, Zoko, excellent. I can't pronounce the first name, so it's an Xoliswc. Thank you, my friend. TX2112, Just Me, Al Z, Drew, Crtomir Ipovec, maybe. Ipovea. Thank you, my friend. Loo Feringo, I think that's the name on that one. Winchester. Justin Greene likes to scream. Thank you, Justin. JDS, DH, Peaceful Being. Thank you, guys. Junior, Heroo Tamoni, and Francisco Money Make is talking about Proverbs 31:3, and we'll do a special one on that one coming up. So thank you guys very much for your comments and your great shout outs to you guys for things that you guys are doing to kind of provide good information for our viewers and for warriors who are standing tall in the face of a real epidemic problem that we have. I call it an anathema that we have out there. Speaking of that, let's talk about this topic at 1:35 here with our topic we're going to talk about. This comes from Charles Peake. Charles always does a lot of great comments, and here's one of them. He's talking about that on SR, we are like a creator of things. We create things, and we're very much godlike. And I think that he is very right about this. Let's kind of talk about this a little bit as we go through. So when we talk about what this power is, and I understand Public, I think Reject, and if I get the name wrong, please correct me, but Public Reject made a good comment as I was kind of reading through today's comments a little bit, talking about that he wanted to kind of keep this among us, don't tell everybody about this great secret. I get it. I understand. You know, I'm with you to some extent, my friend. I understand that only so many people can kind of handle this type of truth that we've had down the ages. But the other side of this, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but the other side of this is the fact that we are in an epidemic. There's too many young men who are struggling with this pornography, this imagery of trying to focus on physical types of things instead of kind of seeing what life really is. Been brainwashed to believe that having sex all the time is somehow glorious type of thing, and that's the thing that we should deal with is pleasure all the time and forget about the consequences or forget about anything else in life except that pleasure that lasts about 2 minutes, and then most of us feel kind of guilty about it. And the idea, guys, is that you have to think about this in terms of really looking at human beings and species. It's the reason why the Bible doesn't talk about this, or the Quran. All these books don't talk about releasing energy all the time, because the idea is you're not supposed to be doing that. This is only a society type of thing. And the curious thing I see, and I thought about this the other day, you don't see other species doing this kind of stuff. Now, we're supposed to be the most sophisticated, educated species there's out there, right? Warriors, you know what I'm talking about. Yet, we're the ones that are falling for all this nonsense. Now, I know this is being a little bit cynical here, but have you seen any kind of animals go ahead and have sex just for pleasure? No. Whether it's dogs, cats, praying mantises, bees, they're all trying to procreate. This is why they do this. Now, it gets dangerous, especially for a praying mantis when they get their head bitten off, right? Or the bees who die, the male bees are only used to procreate. You know, and psychologically you could argue that that's the case with males as well, right? In any kind of species. But the guys, warriors, the idea here is when you're thinking about this, you don't see other species doing this. Why? And we're supposed to be the most sophisticated, yet we fall for the major illusion of life. That the pleasure of the sex is more important than anything else. Yet the pleasure is very short lasting, And the idea is that you're sitting there and wasting your energy. And this is why you don't become the creator or the co-creator with God that we all should be. We should be in abundance all the time. Yet we're losing energy because we're trying to look at some short-term satisfaction that means very little, if nothing, in the long run. Like I said, you don't see animals doing this stuff. You don't see cats running around looking at pictures of other cats. Now, I know I'm being a little cynical, a little funny here. But let's get serious, warriors. Let's understand this. The cats don't do that. The cats are looking to mate. They're looking to have children, kittens, right? The dogs are looking to mate. They're not interested in that kind of just a sexual thing for pleasure. And those are lower level brain function animals. Yet we are a sophisticated group, and we've fallen for the biggest illusion of all. And this is why we have to kind of help our young, especially young men, because our young men have been brainwashed, and I know I was brainwashed for many years, thinking that in order to be a man, you have to have sex all the time, you have to have women all the time. This is like being a lamb being led to the slaughter. And this is how men are. Men are drained dry. And then what happens is the woman doesn't want you after that, my friends. You ever notice that? And I've seen lots of case studies like this where men, they let go all of their releasing all their energy, and the woman finds them less attractive. Why? Well, because they sense that energy in you. They sense that seed. And again, subconsciously, they're looking to reproduce. Now, whether they say that or not, whether or not they talk like that, in the bottom end of it, the species that we know as human beings is no different than other species. We are here to mate, to procreate. So why in the world are we spending a lot of time focusing on this pleasure thing, when in fact we should be doing is focusing on building yourself up to the best person you can become, and when the time comes to procreate, you'll procreate. But don't focus on that as a major part of your life. And so as Charles was talking about, when you are in SR, what you got to focus on is creating things around you, creating that world around you that becomes that strong world that can help other people. That strong world that God's got a purpose for. That strong world where you're helping to create all the positive that you can create. Make yourself the best person you can become. Don't worry about women. Don't worry about all these types of pictures and things like that. Will you have to fight off temptation at times? Yes, you will. Especially as you do this more and more. The more and more power you get, the more control you get, the more women will want you, because they sense that energy. I don't care what age you are. We'll talk about age in another video, but it doesn't matter what age you are. It really doesn't. It's not about age. This is the illusion of life, my friends. This is not by what you're seeing. It's behind what you're seeing. It's that energy we're talking about. Spirit, energy, what do you want to call it? We're talking about women who sense it. They know you can procreate. They want that energy. It revitalizes them. Not only to have children, but it revitalizes them. Can you imagine if they didn't have children and they had your semen? They would be on top of the world, which is how they react. Because now, even though they're not using it for a child, they are getting, it's almost like a blast of electricity for an electric car, okay? You are giving them a high-tail blast. Now, that's well and fine if it's somebody that you really want to be with, and it's somebody that you're married to, that's fine. You want to procreate, that's great. But remember, every time you do this, warriors, you're giving up energy that can be used for your own strength, protecting the ones you love, protecting the people around you, and providing for those people around you. Once again, I look at other species. You don't see this happen in other species. The animals, they're doing their own thing. They're doing their own things. And you always think about the times when you get animals that are fixed, they're docile because they don't have that energy anymore. And that's a good example of what happens to men who are drained. They become like these animals that are fixed. right? They have no energy. They're docile. Anybody can control them. Anybody can take them over. Anybody can tell them what to do. And they will not fight up and stand up because they have no energy to do that. This is why I say, my friends, warriors, beware of you losing your energy to nothing but just a few seconds of pleasure. When in fact, what you need to be doing is focusing on bettering yourselves as a warrior, getting stronger, getting more intelligent, getting more spiritual, and becoming that full man warrior that we need to have. Now, I'm not saying women can't be warriors. I'm not saying that at all. There could be women warriors out there, but I address all these to men because the problem with men is a lot greater than the problem that women have. The problem with men is letting go of their energy so much that they're becoming weak. And if we had a lot of women that wanted to talk about women, I'm happy to try to do that. I don't have that perspective, of course, but I would get people to kind of help talk about that. Well, women do have problems sometimes with also releasing and getting addicted to this. And also doing it not for procreation, but doing it for just pleasure. And this is another killer for females as well, for lots of other reasons. But the idea, guys, is that we need to be sitting there and thinking about back in the old days, when you're focusing on the idea you're doing sex just to procreate. Everything else should be intimacy. That's a different story. That's not just having sex. You can do that by holding hands. You can do that by kissing. That is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about releasing. Now you're losing your energy that way. All right, my friends. Well, good topic. Charles, thank you, my friend. I appreciate this topic, and I appreciate all the great comments. I'm glad that people are interested in what I'm saying, and hopefully that will kind of keep the percentages going, get up to 2% and 3%, and keep going as the generations go on, to actually focus on taking this topic and realizing that men need to be strong. And men need to protect, men need to provide and be there in order to be able to make the generation society keep on. Without that, it'll be very difficult and societies fall apart. And you've seen that with the Roman Empire. You've seen that with Babylon. You've seen that with Incas, Mayas, and all that. All right, guys, until next time, remember 2 things. First, every day is a new day to a great warrior. And second, my friends, battle on!